Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to 3301. This is where I take a look at the news and happenings in and around Elite Dangerous. Today I'm going to take a look at Horizons. The full release is tomorrow. There's an ongoing point of interest debate within Horizons, we'll be having a look at that. Frontier are doing a Christmas 24-hour live stream. There's also some news going on in the game about the missing. And finally we'll be taking a look at a bit of a special YouTube channel. Tomorrow is the big day, the release of Horizons at last. A few of you have had access to beta for the past 2 weeks and will know a lot about the highs and lows of the game. Many of you are still yet to get a chance to taste the game though, and it's also the release of patch 1.5 which brings with it a few new ships, and I've spoken about these in previous videos. The thing most people are no doubt anticipating the most about tomorrow is the ability to land on planets, and this one really is a game changer for Elite. But planetary landings is only the first step for Horizons. Within this season we will also be getting multi-crew, deployable fighters, crafting, as well as avatar creation. Hopefully these things will go a long way to giving the game some much needed fleshed out content. Currently Frontier are holding a screenshot and video competition on their forums. This thread is well worth checking out in its own right. There are some super screenshots there, and a good number of them list their locations as well, giving you some prime destinations to visit as soon as you have access to Horizons. So go check that thread out, I've linked it below in the video description. Last week on 3301 I spoke on the point of interest problem within Horizons. Points of interest are the areas that are generated for players to investigate and explore when on a planet's surface. In function, they are very similar to how unidentified signal sources spawn when in space. A player flies over the planet of surface and watches their radar. Eventually a blue circle will appear. This represents a point of interest. Within the circle will be something a player can interact with, such as a crashed ship, lost cargo, some skimmer sentries, a mining outpost or something else. Previously these areas were not viewable from inside your ship. The object itself only spawned when you entered the SRV. This made for some ridiculous situations where you could land on some empty ground, deploy your SRV and then find yourself and your ship inside the middle of a small settlement. A lot of players pushed for Frontier to change this so that the point of interest could be seen from the ship when in flight. Now Frontier did listen, and in patch 1.4 they made the requested change. This made the game immensely more enjoyable. It was now possible to fly over the surface of a planet and physically look for areas that you might want to land at, and if you didn't want to land at them, if you found them perhaps not interesting enough, you could simply move on. However, this change had the knock-on effect of making the points of interest very easy to find and quite easy to deal with. Players could destroy the sentries with their ship weapons, and in fact in many cases players no longer needed to use the SRV as the ship was very capable of locating things and dealing with them. So as of patch 1.5 Frontier made another change. The blue circle that represents the point of interest that displays on your radar can now only be seen from 2 kilometers above the surface. This has a knock-on effect that from such a height it is almost impossible to locate the point of interest from the ship. As soon as you drop below 2 kilometers, the point of interest marker vanishes, and so you're essentially scouting blindly. This forces the player to land their ship and use the SRV. That's clearly the gameplay that Frontier have developed to be a main part of Horizons. The big problem with this system though is that it puts things back to being essentially the same situation as we were in patch 1.3 and prior. I've personally flown over the surface of planets searching for worthwhile points of interest. However, I now have to land at each and every one of them in order to get into the SRV to discover that 9 times out of 10 it's just a canister of clothing or something else that's largely irrelevant to me. Now on the odd occasion it's still possible to locate the point of interest whilst in your ship. It is viewable from your ship, but it's very difficult to actually find it, and more often than not you'll come across it by chance rather than intent. It actually feels like a bit of a time waster, and whilst this isn't a massive complaint, it does have massive impact upon the potential gameplay, and it also has the potential to remove incentive from actually getting down and getting actively involved in the points of interests. There's nothing quite like flying over the surface of a planet and being able to eyeball the contents down there, to be able to physically look for the points of interest and areas that you want to interact with. That really should be what planetary flight and planetary landing is all about. So once again, there's now a massive thread in the Horizons beta forums discussing the issue and requesting Frontier to re-examine this gameplay. I personally feel that it's something that definitely needs changing, and that is a huge negative impact upon the game experience. With that in mind, I urge you to go at the very least and check out the forum thread, which you can see in the video description. And if you feel like it, please do get involved in the discussion. There's every chance that we could get Frontier to at least have a look at this gameplay mechanic and perhaps make it a little bit better again. All that said though, Horizons has been a massive success in terms of opening up the planets to land on. There's been a lot of graphical updates, a lot of changes and bug fixes over the course of the beta, and to me at least it's looking very stable and is working very well. A number of people still have some frame rate issues with the game, but there's equally many more people who are having the game run extremely smoothly. So we'll have to see how that plays out over the next few days. But if you're excited for Horizons, you've got every right to be. I for one can't wait to get out on the live servers and start saving my progress on the planetary surfaces. On the 21st of December, Edward Lewis, the community manager for Frontier, will be undertaking a 24-hour live stream. This stream is being done for the gamers charity Special Effect. A whole bunch of guests will be joining Ed on the stream. A full schedule is available on the forums, which you can see in the link in the video description. Frontier would also be giving away prizes, which can be won by entering a prize draw. Every £1 donated on Frontier's Just Giving page will count as an entry, so £10 for example will equal 10 entries. There are a whole load of prizes to be won. Here are just a few examples of them. There's one high-end gaming PC built by scan.co.uk worth over £1,500, and this PC includes an Intel i7 6700K CPU along with a GTX 980 SC. There's also an Xbox One console and a copy of Elite Dangerous to be won, as well as 5 Name Your Own Planet prizes. And there's many other prizes to be won as well. For the full prize list, as well as all the details of the live stream, do go and check out the forum thread. Now, a new story element introduced with Horizons is The Missing. Michael Brooks, executive producer for Elite, spoke about this at reasonable length in his most recent dev update. It was also mentioned in a Galnet article. The Missing refers to all those that have disappeared in space without a trace. Many of those were the colonists that travelled on the ancient generation ships, massive behemoths that were sent out into the void during the pre-hyperspace age to colonise the stars. These ships, by 3301 standards, were extremely slow, and so they carried within them what amounted to an entire culture, everything needed to allow generations to live out on board the ship until they finally reached their destination. Some made it to their destination, some returned, but many were lost. This is a story that Frontier have said will unfold over the course of the next year. They hint that the missing are out there to be found in the depths of space. Something then, perhaps for the intrepid explorer. Frontier have said that more details on this will come soon. Now, if the unknown artifact story is anything to go by, this should prove to be a very interesting experience for a lot of players. If you're unfamiliar with the unknown artifact, I made a video on it a few weeks back. I'll link that below so you can also check that out. It's a pretty amazing story, and I think it could have potential massive impact upon the game at some point. Now, finally, before I go, I honestly cannot remember if I've recommended the following YouTube channel before, but if I have, then it's well worth recommending again, and if I haven't recommended it, then I really should have done. The channel is an Elite Dangerous YouTube channel, and it's by Vindicator Jones. He makes some absolutely superb videos, and you can see just some segments of that playing at the background now. I highly recommend you go check them out. They really are some of the most best produced videos available for Elite Dangerous full stop. So that brings us to the end of this episode of 3301. We're now well into December, and there'll only be 2 more episodes left of 3301. I'll then of course be back with 3302 in the new year. For those of you that have pre-ordered it, and for those of you that are going to buy it later, I really hope you enjoy Horizons. It's an absolutely fantastic part of the game. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.